Hey everybody, have you heard the news?
There's a back-to-school sale
At Payless for you. Yeah, they got what you need when the summer ends.
like pencils and notebooks, crayons and pens,
Watercolors, bookends,
tube socks and shoes,
scissors and erasers, anything you choose.
lunch boxes,
Pencil boxes,
notebook paper,
glue,
typewriters,
calculators,
tape recorders too.
even got a scooter.
Gotta get the best.
You're gonna get more, but you're gonna pay less.
So what's the best part?
About back to school, it's a back to school sale.
At Payless.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location thousands of fathoms beneath the sea. This is the Deep Dive Podcast.
All ahead 1/3, up scope.
Battle stations.
Battle stations!
Hello, divers, and welcome to another episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. We're so happy you're here. And guess what? It's that time of year again. Autumn is upon us. The air is filled with the scent of pumpkin spice everything. Spirit Halloween stores are popping up in abandoned Toys R Us locations.
Yep.
Rest in peace.
Oh.
And of course, the beginning of another school year. Whether you're a kid dreading the return to the books and bullies, or parents thrilled with not having to entertain your doofus offspring for the next year or summer,
Yeah.
it's back to school. It's back to school, and back to school season has something for everyone to hate.
Isn't that true? You know, here's the thing. When you're a kid, you dread going back to school. I know I did.
I didn't.
Really?
I loved the beginning
You're
of school.
weird.
New
Sorry.
But the crisp new stationaries, the brand new pencils, the new erasers, new backpack. I loved the beginning of school. Even in college, I loved the beginning of school. I hated it 2 weeks later, but I loved the beginning.
Well, that's you then.
Yeah.
In any event, my name is Tom Feeney, writer for Wingshot Movie Magazine, now available on Amazon.com. New issue coming soon.
Ooh,
Yes, that's right.
finally.
And with me as always.
I am Amanda, co-host extraordinaire, famed beauty and lover of all things dinosaur. But of course, you already knew that. Welcome
Yes.
to episode 29.
29.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who's stuck around with us.
Yeah.
29 episodes. And you know something, I don't know if you know, but we're just about to crest 1,800 downloads.
That's amazing.
That's insane. Thank you so
Wow.
much.
And I'm responsible for only half of them.
Well, you know, you got to edit things. You go back and listen.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to hate in those numbers.
Yeah.
That's something, that's not anything to gawk at.
No,
Just
and
stick
stop
that-
gawking.
Stick that in your trapper
rude.
keeper. And
Oh,
yeah,
oh.
come on.
Trapper
Trapper keepers
keeper.
were so Oh, did you ever have Lisa Frank stuff?
No, because I'm a dude.
I love Lisa Frank. Like the super like neon dolphins and little bear cubs and the unicorns. Oh my god, there's a fantastic documentary you have to watch about Lisa Frank. It's on YouTube. Oh my god, it's so cool.
Yeah, I was too busy with my Partridge Family lunchbox. In any event.
How many years ago was that?
No, we're not.
Anyways, as we said, back to school.
Yes.
That is such an amazing topic. It's a great time of year. We're finally coming into the autumn time in
I
the
love
upper New
fall.
England. I hate pumpkin spice, but I love everything else.
Oh, yeah. Give me some apple cider instead. I'm
Oh
happy
my
with
god, do you remember when Starbucks did do warm apple cider?
that. No, I don't, actually.
Yeah, they did warm apple cider. Mm-hmm.
Ugh, I don't know if I trust that.
Oh, it didn't taste like regular apple cider, but it was still pretty good. But anyways, we got a couple picks for you each, and the theme was back to school.
Yes.
But as always, we sometimes set boundaries, and we almost always break them.
Oh, boy, are we.
So there weren't too many rules for this one.
No.
But you know what? I'll let you go first since I did the intro.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sweet.
All right, so the 1990s, once again, the greatest decade of all time, brought movie lovers one of the most popular recycled plot ideas of all time. And I'm talking about Die Hard on a blank. Yes, that's right. Once the first Die Hard movies made $1 zillion at the box office and made a superstar out of surly Bruce Willis, everyone wanted a piece of the action. Movie.
Oh, good one.
Thank you. The idea of a lone hero taking on terrorists by himself was too good to resist. Over and over and over again. Let me give you some examples. 1993's Cliffhanger, with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, yeah.
Or Die Hard on a Mountain. 1992's Under Siege.
Oh, yeah.
With, what's his name? The fake martial arts guy.
Jason David Frank?
No, not that fake. No, he's
Chuck Norris.
No. Steven Seagal. There you go. Steven
Okay,
Seagal,
yeah.
that's right.
Die Hard Underwater.
Die Hard on a boat, so it's great. 1994's Speed, which is...
Die Hard in a boat.
Speed?
Oh, no, it's a bus.
Die Hard on a bus.
But wait, Speed 2 was a boat, right?
Speed 2 was a boat.
Okay,
the less
fine,
we
fair
talk
enough.
about that, the better. Speed was actually a good movie.
Yeah, it was. Sandra Bullock, rest in peace.
Yeah, what?
No, just kidding.
Don't scare me. 1992's Passenger 57, or Die Hard on a Plane. That was Wesley Snipes.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Yep.
And by the way, you did not have to see Passenger 56 to understand the plot. And there's a guilty pleasure of mine as well. 1995's Sudden Death, with the muscles from Brussels himself, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
This was Die Hard on Ice, or rather in a professional hockey arena.
Wait, wasn't he a kickboxer in that one?
No, he was in Sudden Death. He was a fire marshal who was responsible for the hockey arena and got caught up with a terrorist plot to assassinate a president or something like that.
Nobody would believe that he was a fire marshal.
No, but then nobody believed he's an actor either. But
Yeah.
Anyway, even if you think about it, it's still happening. Even the recent movie Skyscraper with The Rock was Die Hard with a prosthetic leg.
I mean, I actually heard that The Rock is the highest paid action star.
And you know what? He should be, because he can do it all.
He's awesome.
He can do drama. He can do comedy. He'll kick my ass if I say bad things about him.
It doesn't matter. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there you go. But that brings me to my first pick, which is one of these movies, one of this style of movie. Mm-hmm. This was an early one in the that sort of entry. Mine is sort of Die Hard at a prep school. This is 1991's Toy Soldiers.
Okay.
Yes.
I've never seen it, but I've heard about it.
This is a really good little action movie that has undeservedly fallen through the cracks. And it really deserves better than it got. It deserves
The
another
Regis
look
School
at
for
least
Boys,
from an audience.
where the country's best families
Hey, bring that back here.
send the world's worst students.
If you're gonna kick me out, kick me out.
They'd make 4 prep schools in 4 years. You're trying for the Guinness Book of Records?
But these boys are in for a real shock.
Fuego! If you do not produce my father unharmed, I will begin executing the hostages. I'm sure by now you have discovered who their parents are.
Chairman of the Armed Services Committee, Vice Chairman of the Republican Party.
What does your father do, William?
Contractor. According to this, he owns the 3rd largest construction company in the world.
Yeah, he's a contractor. My boys, many of them, they have a real problem with authority.
Now, bear with me when I explain this, because the plot is a little bit complicated, all right? So, a Colombian terrorist, is how we're starting with this, is trying to free his drug kingpin father from American custody.
Okay.
The federal judge presiding over the case has a son who attends a private prep school where the troubled kids of rich people and powerful people are sent. So this is not your average prep school. This is a prep school for troublemakers. So it's sort of half prep school, half juvie. So the terrorist, the son, who's named Luis Cali, manages to get into America and take over the school with a group of terrorists, So they take over the school and they keep the students as hostages because apparently the federal judge's son was at this prep school. But what the terrorists didn't know was that they had basically taken the federal judge and his family to a safe location. So he wasn't at the school when the terrorists broke in and took over. But the way they figure it, the way the terrorist figures it, there's all these kids of wealthy and powerful people here. So he can pretty much get what he wants if he starts killing kids.
Or ransoming them.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So, which is kind of what happens. This is a violent movie. I'll get into that later. But keep in mind that these are the bad kids. These are the troublemakers, the misfits. And we start off with Samwise himself, Sean Astin.
Oh.
And he's kind of playing against type as kind of the head troublemaker. And
So
he's
Rudy.
kind of he's Rudy, but bad Rudy.
Yeah.
Bad Rudy, no. Don't do that, Bad Rudy. So he is the lead misfit. Then we have Star Trek's Will Wheaton.
Shut up, Wesley.
As the son of a powerful mafia boss. And we've got a few other kids there sprinkled in as well. Now, they're going to use any means at their disposal to thwart these terrorists. Sure. Because they know the layout of the school, they know where everything is, and they're used to causing trouble, but now they're going to cause trouble for justice. I guess that's probably in the trailer somewhere. But now they are going to try to buy enough time for them to be rescued.
Right.
When the government comes in and hopefully, takes care of the terrorists and do that. But they're trying to survive and thwart these terrorists at every turn. So, it's kind of like, it's a little bit like
Home Alone.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Home Alone, but with machine guns. Yeah. That sounds cute, right?
Yeah.
No, it isn't cute at all. This movie is violent. This is R. And there's kids getting mowed down by machine guns. There's some pretty intense scenes in this movie. This goes all out. I think it's ironic that they made an R-rated film that kids can't go see.
Right.
Even though there's kids in the movie.
Well, maybe that's why. Oh.
Maybe that's why. I mean, because one of the, for a film like this, one of the best things you can say about it is that you feel like anybody can die at any time.
Okay.
Because you're like, oh, okay. So, if this person can get killed, maybe everything's on the table here. Because, you're always like, oh, nothing's going to happen to Tom Cruise because, he's the lead.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
Yeah. So, but this movie, you're like, ooh, bad things are going to happen to these kids. They're not fooling around here. This is, as I said, this movie tends to be somewhat forgotten among all the other die-hard clones. And that's really, really a shame. There's some really good performances here. The lead terrorist, the bad guy, is played by an actor named Andrew Divoff, who, if you don't recognize the name, don't worry, but he was also the Wishmaster in the Wishmaster horror movies.
No kidding.
He's really good. He's so slimy and evil in this movie.
All
I think
right.
in an interview he said himself that was one of his favorite roles. But yeah, he chews the scenery. He's really evil in this movie. So yeah, it's a violent movie, but it's probably one of the best of that type of Die Hard clone. Because once the terrorists are, you're like, oh, this is not going to be a prep school. This is not Dead Poet Society. This is Dead Kids Society.
Yeah.
Because they're getting...
terrorist, my terrorist.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah. Now, the director of this film, a guy named Daniel Petrie Jr., is best known. Yeah. He's best known for writing all of the Beverly Hills Cop movies.
Oh, I love those movies.
Yeah. And he co-wrote Toy Soldiers along with a screenwriter you might know, a guy named David Koepp.
Name sounds familiar.
He scripted Jurassic Park. The original Spider-Man movie back in 2002 with Tobey Maguire. He wrote that.
I still like that movie.
And the first Mission Impossible film.
I don't remember that.
But yeah, so there's some good talent behind this film.
Yeah.
And it also has two of my favorite actors of all time, Louis Gossett Jr. as the Dean, and the late lamented R. Lee Ermey, who plays the drill sergeant in pretty much every movie. He was Full Metal Jacket, and he was the army, one of the army men in Toy Story and all that. Yep. So yeah, so he was really good in that as well. Now this movie does feel at times to be a little formulaic. But that's because it was following a formula.
Right.
But just keep in mind that back in 1991, that formula was still being perfected. Right. So it didn't really, they were sort of toying around with it, but it got more perfected later on by those other movies that I mentioned. So, and it's a film that if you think about it, it could never be made today because of our current environment, our current culture.
I was just going to mention that. Oh, my God.
Yeah, with school shootings.
Get out of my head.
And it's just... there's spiders in there. I don't know. But yeah, you could never make this film today. The violence, violence against children, like teenagers and stuff with the guns and everything. It just could not be made today. So when you're watching this film, it's like, other films like it, like Red Dawn, you're like, oh.
Right, yeah.
So, but it is very, very entertaining. So I would say if you're looking for a solid action movie that delivers on pretty much every level with the acting and the suspense and the tension and all that, definitely check out Toy Soldiers. So I got some numbers. Okay. And they're kind of ridiculous. It gets only a 6.6 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database, which I guess is okay, but I think it deserves better than that. And only a 36% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I completely think is unfair.
Yeah, well, I mean, given the subject again, I don't know.
Maybe so. But if you want to see Toy Soldiers, and I do recommend it, it is available right now for free on the Crackle streaming service. Once again, like a candy bar, and for rental for $3.99 on iTunes, but a better bargain at $2.99 on Vudu. And that's my pick, Toy Soldiers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good one.
Thank you.
Do they play that song, Toy Soldiers?
By Martika? No.
Yeah. No. Okay, fair enough. Good pick. Yeah, I'm not at all surprised that you went like gory and blood and violence and all that.
But why?
I'm
so
That's
nice.
Just your thing.
Such a nice person.
So, mine is a little bit different.
Okay.
So, I decided that when I was thinking about back to school, I wanted to bring up something that would be very applicable to my genre, something that came out of my childhood that I still really enjoy. So I came up with a TV series.
Oh.
Yeah. Ever watched Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I have heard of Are You Afraid of the Dark? It's almost like the kids' Twilight Zone or something.
It really was. It really was. So for like the early 90s, it was a pretty big deal.
That and Goosebumps.
Yes, Goosebumps was awesome. Oh, I used to collect all the books. My favorite one was Say Cheese and Die, and then Say Cheese and Die Again.
Oh, okay.
Those are R.L. Stine books. But in any case, so I was thinking about it, and there's this one episode that has always stuck out with me for, at least now 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So this episode is called The Tale of the Hatching.
The Tale of the Hatching.
Now, if you don't know the premise of Are You Afraid of the Dark, basically these kids, a group of friends would get together, they'd sit around a campfire, and they would tell stories. Sometimes stories would make you afraid, sometimes they would have like a really nice plot twist, and you're like, oh, that's a happy ending, blah, blah, blah. But this one, kind of creepy. And it also is a precursor to my second pick. So I think my second pick stole it from this. But in any case, so it's called The Tale of the Hatching. Now, the basic premise here is that a young brother and sister attend the same boarding school, which is weird because I thought it was either a boys' school or a girls' school.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But in this case, it's a very creepy, dark mansion, and the brother and sister, they hate it. They don't want to be there. They don't make any friends, all that fun stuff. So they attend the boarding school and they go to the normal classes and they make a couple of friends, and then, things start happening. Weird things start happening, and they can't explain it. There's like some green goo they find on a wall, kind of like when the water in Harry Potter, when they follow it and they find Mrs. Norris all petrified and stuff. It's kind of like that. And then they find some writing on the wall, and things just kind of progress to getting really creepy. Then they find out that the school has a basement, and not just a basement, but like a super underground basement.
No, never good.
So it's never good, right? So they go down there because kids dare them to.
Sure, man.
And it's a giant pool. And those scenes or those directors in movies, what they try to do is they have like a lights inside the pool, so you can see the light coming from the pool.
Yes.
And then they have like a fog machine or something.
Yeah, like steam.
Yes, and it sets the mood right away, and you're like, this is creepy. What is this? So they're kind of walking around, and they kind of, all right, I don't like this. This is creepy. I want to get out of here. And by the way, it's set like like in the 1920s, 30s, and I guess back then, it was not uncommon for schools to have giant pools in their gymnasiums. Like, that's not something I grew up with. Like, my high school did not have a pool, but like apparently this is a big thing, and like activities were huge, like water polo, swimming, and all that fun stuff. It's a really old boarding school. Actually, it reminds me of that mental hospital in Danvers, Massachusetts. Do you know about that one? They turned recently into like condos and stuff.
No.
I can't remember, but the company that made them is called the Avalon Company. I'll think about it. Oh, the Danvers State Mental Hospital. That's what it is. In any case,
all right then.
It's supposedly haunted. So they go down there and they find what appear to be just these rocks, but turns out, guess what? They're eggs. And they happen to be covered in that same creepy green goop, and they're like, okay, this is weird. Something weird's going on. And then the story progresses, the episode progresses, and then eventually these things start hatching. And what sprouts up but these tiny little aliens, and then aliens are taking over, and then guess what? You don't know if like this person is an alien and like in disguise as like a human person. It was really creepy. Like, it was really, you can see how it's sliding into my second one, but like basically the story ends with them escaping the boarding school, and it was really scary for a 12-year-old.
Yeah, sounds like it.
It was very dark, and believe it or not, it is the highest rated episode of the entire series.
Really?
The entire series.
Wow.
It is season 2, episode 12, or maybe of the entire season, but I really think it's a whole series. IMDb gives it a 9.2.
That's impressive.
It's insane, right? Metacritic didn't have it. Rotten Tomatoes gives the entire series an 8.7. But basically, this episode, again, part of season 2, episode 12, it stuck with me. And this actually was a long-running show from 1990 to 2000.
Yeah.
So it was like 10 years on the air. And so, yeah, it's back to school themed. It's creepy. And I also used to have nightmares about it.
Real nightmares?
Yes, because like I imagine going down to the basement of my high school and finding like aliens and stuff. Oh, plot twist, if I didn't already mention, some of the teachers were actually aliens. And they were laying eggs.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, it was gross.
Bad enough they're teachers.
Yeah, it was just gross. So I already gave you a score from IMDb. I am giving it a 9.0. Pretty high up there.
That's impressive.
Because
That's a lot.
It has stuck with me.
Wow.
And you know, good things and bad things stick with you. But one of the key elements of, I guess, good writing is that it sticks with you. Whether it's a bad movie or a good movie, you remember it. And I will always recall this movie, I think.
Interesting.
So where can you see it? So you can buy the individual episodes through the iTunes store. I believe they're $2.99 each. But if you really, really want to get the whole experience, buy the entire set. You can get seasons 1 through 3, I think, in a sort of box set. I'm doing quotations here because it's online. But it's for like $49. So it's totally worth it. You can also buy them in like local movie, like Bull Moose, for example, if you have that, or FYE, those kind of things. This episode is available on YouTube as of right now, but it's got pieces cut out of it, I think, to avoid copyright.
Yeah.
But so worth watching.
Wow.
It back to school, right? There you go.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, my second pick is to no one's surprise if you listen to this podcast. Very, very obscure.
Oh, good.
Now, one of the most popular action movie stars in the entire world, and I'm saying entire world on purpose.
Bruce Lee?
No. You're in the same general vicinity.
Jet Li?
No, but you're in the same general...
Patrick Swayze?
No, but you're not in the same general vicinity. You're getting much colder.
Steven Seagal?
No. You were much closer with...
Bruce Lee
and Jet Li.
Don't know.
Let me start over. One of the most popular action movie stars in the entire world is Jackie Chan.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Duh.
Now, he made his mark by not only being an incredible martial artist and performing amazing and very dangerous stunts in his movies, but also by being a very gifted physical comedian.
He's a nice guy, too.
Yeah. It depends who you talk to, but yeah. So Jackie's life before he became an international movie star is even more amazing. When he was around 5 years old, his parents sent him to live at what was called a Peking opera school in mainland China. These schools trained children in martial arts, acrobatics, singing, and dancing. And he was there for 10 years. So my second pick is called Painted Faces. This is a dramatization of what life was like at a Peking opera school for these kids. It was brutal. Seriously, it was brutal. This was like no school you have ever seen. It was more like if you've seen Kill Bill Volume 2, where Uma Thurman is being trained by Master Pei-Pei.
Yes.
Basically, these children were brutalized daily.
Ooh.
The training was painful, and it was from early morning to late at night. Failure was punishable by caning. Perfection was expected always.
Oof.
These kids were basically put through the ringer. They lived at the school. They were not fed a lot. They were, the accommodations were pretty poor. But for, certain kids, their parents could not afford to have them, to keep them alive. So this was one option, to send them to a Peking opera school where they would learn to be performers and give performances. So that was his life for 10 years. Now, see, this movie can be a little hard to watch because little kids get hit.
Right. Yeah.
and go through what looks like torture
Ooh.
at times.
Ooh.
But this is not a documentary. This is really a fascinating glimpse into a truly different world.
Right.
As bad as these kids seem to have it, they were better off living at the school than many others in China living in abject poverty at the time. So keeping that context in mind does help. But it's still hard to believe that places like this existed. But it turned Jackie Chan and several of his schoolmates into international superstars. So you can argue that it was all for the best. But, he endured it. He was probably their best student and went on, to be a multimillionaire and beloved by millions of people. So,
Right.
The results were there, I suppose. So you can say that. Now, the China Drama Academy, which is the Peking Opera School where Jackie Chan attended, because that's basically Peking Opera School is sort of a general name for a group of different schools.
Right.
So that drama academy is still operating, but the brutal treatment that he and his schoolmates endured is no longer part of the curriculum.
Good.
They don't do that anymore.
Good.
But if you're interested in a truly fascinating look at how these schools operated and how they produced some truly amazing performers, you got to check out Painted Faces. It really is remarkable look into a different culture.
Yeah.
And, a lot of it is like, just like cringe, a little cringy because, you feel for these poor kids and what they're going through.
Right, of course.
But they learn to be absolutely incredible.
Right.
So if you want to check this out, it is actually on Netflix with a subscription, of course. It gets a 7 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database, and it does not have any Rotten Tomatoes score.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Painted Faces on Netflix.
Sounds
really
good.
Interesting stuff. So
Yeah.
that's my second pick.
That sounds good. Yeah. You know what my next guest was going to be after Jackie Chan?
Who?
George Takei.
Okay. Well,
Uncle George.
Uncle George.
It's okay to be Takei.
Okay then.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So my second pick, I'll be honest, I think this is showing my age. You know how we joke about you showing your age all the time?
Wait, we do? When was that? I don't remember.
Yeah,
must be my
the
age.
Alzheimer's coming again. Anyways, this is me showing my age. I had never heard of this movie before, and I don't really think it's actually that obscure. But to me, it was really funny because I had thought that I was going to do the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, and it just kind of kicked in with it. I was like, I have to do it now. So my film, and by the way, it was a suggestion from my youngest brother. So
Okay.
shout out to my brother Ian.
All right.
It's from 1998, and it's called The Faculty.
The Faculty. I knew it. I knew you were going to say that because that is basically the same plot.
Same plot, exactly.
The same plot.
So aliens have just been setting us up over the years with their ET and our Men in Black movies just so that nobody would believe it if it really happened.
I think so.
These students are starting to suspect their teachers are from another planet.
Sit down.
They're after me.
Guess what?
Now we're gonna have some fun.
They're right.
Aliens are taking over the school.
But we can stop it.
The Faculty.
This is weird.
Rated R. In theaters everywhere, Friday, December 25th.
So I'm not going to hash it over, people, but it's got some pretty mainstream actors. I mean, Josh Hartnett's in it. The kids are at a school. Things are happening. It's a high school, and it's like in Middlesburg, Ohio, something like that, something far out. And, again, these weird things start happening, and they basically come to discover that, guess what? The teachers are not human. They're not human.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. And
Well, give them a break. They're teachers.
Well, yeah, I know. Fair enough. Support teachers. Actually, I think Elijah Wood's in this movie too. But either way, it's a horror science fiction film. So it's got obviously some nerdy science stuff in it, but it's also really scary. When I watched it 2 nights ago for the first time, I was kind of like, this is really creepy. Even though it's like a 20-year-old movie, I was kind of creeped out by it. Anyways, again, it's just the same kind of plot. So teachers are aliens. They have to kill the aliens. Also, there's this whole thing about like, what's different from, of course, the Are You Afraid is that it's an adult movie, right? There's this one thing that can kill the aliens, and it's like it's like a drug, or one of the kids takes medication, something like that, and so he starts like passing it out, and one girl doesn't take it, and they were like, we know you're an alien. So it's just creepy. So I was gonna go more into it, but really that's kind of basically it.
Yeah.
I will tell you though, it was apparently a really big hit. It grossed like $40 point something million at the box office. I don't know if a hit is the right word, but like it was popular for what it was. It was, you know what I mean? And it was kind of like one of those things where people who watched it loved it immediately. People who were like, yeah, I could watch it later on and I could Redbox it 20 years in the future.
Right.
It didn't settle with them. But it wasn't really a long movie. It was about an hour and 20 minutes or so. Not too long. IMDb gives it a 6.5. So it's not like it's super high rated up there, but I gotta tell you, there's like 105,000 reviews.
It's entertaining.
That's the thing. Like, there are some funny and comedic parts of it because at the very base level, it's kids in a high school.
Right.
So, like, there's that weird goth chick that no one talks to. Oh, by the way, it's like the Breakfast Club, but science fiction-y horror type deal. Because you got like the goth chick who doesn't talk to anybody, and they're like, oh, are you an alien? Blah, blah, blah. But then she falls in love with like the main heartthrob, and it's just a whole thing.
Yeah.
Metacritic gives it a 61. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 73. So like it was pretty high up there with them. I didn't like love it, but I'll give it like a 6.5.
It's a good time waster, if nothing else.
Yeah, it wasn't like my favorite like alien trope is like, aliens in disguise trope, I should say, because of course that is like encompassing of so many movies. Aliens in disguise. Like, oh, what's that in disguise? It's a plane. No, it's aliens. But it's certainly worth watching. You can currently right now rent it on iTunes for $3.99. You can buy it for $12.99. It's also free right now on the horror app Shout Factory.
Oh yeah, I love Shout Factory.
So
it's good stuff.
Yeah, some weird stuff.
Yeah.
But this is like one of the main hot titles. So it's available there, ad-free for a little while. But yeah, I hadn't watched it before, so I figured it was worth bringing up because I'm pretty sure there are some folks who listen to this podcast are of my age, and so it was like a weird thing to me too. So check it out. It's my second pick, and I've got some honorable mentions.
Yeah, go for it.
The only one I have, actually, I have one.
Okay.
Yeah, The Craft. Have you ever seen that?
The Craft.
The Craft was
Did they
good.
remake that, or are they?
I think they're in the process of remaking it.
Yeah.
Because is Neve Campbell still alive?
Yes. Why wouldn't she be?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how old she is.
It's Fairuza Balk who probably isn't anymore.
Oh, yeah. She's creepy.
Yeah, she is.
But The Craft is a really good one. Any real, like, teenage movie has usually some school element in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even Spider-Man, like you were saying, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, it's so whatever. Also, what else was I going to say? Yeah, that's pretty much it. But The Craft is a good movie.
The Craft is a good movie, yeah.
I enjoyed that.
I did as well. I thought it was, for what it was, I thought it was very entertaining and well done.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, like, necessarily watch a remake and be all like, yeah, but, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
nice.
So those are my two picks. Yeah, I loved my first one better than the second one, but that's just the nature of these things.
It is, isn't it?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this brings us to a very momentous occasion now.
Ooh.
So on our next dive,
yep,
we begin our exciting second season.
Season 2.
That's right. Will there be surprises? Will we try new things? Will I have a new co-host?
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Let me just erase that. Hold on.
Where do these questions come from?
I didn't write this. I didn't write this.
Yeah.
No, I don't know how they got there.
So we're finally going to get a producer.
Are we? That's good.
Yeah. We're going to get a producer, and it's going to be awesome. No, I'm just kidding. There's no money in the budget for that.
No, of course not. Who's paying for that?
Yeah. There's no money
no.
in general.
No.
Unless we want to get some sponsors, and that would be lovely for our second season.
Hashtag sponsor us.
Be sure to remember to listen and check out Podbean, their Instagram, because they're going to be featuring us for about a week.
That's right.
At the end of September.
That's right.
And it's going to lead really well into our second season. Some cool audio clips, and it's just going to be really awesome. They're a great platform.
It is. Yes, they are. They're a great platform. They've been very good to us.
Yeah.
They do. So, join us for every single week in October.
Yes.
We're going weekly in October because we're so excited to kick off season 2. So please join us. Subscribe as we present a weekly barrage of Halloween horror.
Yes.
Throughout the month of October. It's going to be a Shocktoberfest.
Shocktober.
So I didn't make that up. So if it's trademarked, I'm very sorry.
No.
So yes, there will be blood.
There will be gore.
There will be all of those fun things.
Pumpkins.
And maybe some apple bobbing.
Oh,
it's very wholesome.
It is.
It is nice, yes.
Yeah, I love
So now is actually the perfect time to subscribe and get on board the runaway freight train that is the Deep Dive Podcast. So visit our website, thedeepdivepodcast.podbean.com.
Mm-hmm.
Check out our line of T-shirts.
They're
our merchandise.
awesome.
They are guaranteed to cover parts of your body.
They're comfortable.
Yes.
They're
if you
they're
wash
made
them.
of like wearable material.
Some sort of cloth,
Yeah,
I believe.
cloth. Yeah,
yes. Yes, with words and things on
We
them.
talked about human skin for the Halloween editions, but it's hard to get that imported, you know?
It really is.
Yeah.
The cost and the paperwork.
Yeah.
The red tape is not very good with that. Do that. So seeing as how this is the final episode of season 1.
Yes, it is.
I would like to personally thank my incredible co-host, Manda.
Aww.
I cannot imagine doing this podcast without you.
Oh.
Mostly because I lack imagination.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But you know, it was pretty much your idea to get this whole thing started, and it has been a great year, a great season.
It's been a
and
year.
It has been just about a year since we it's at least a year until we started working on this.
Yeah.
And it's still this good. So I just want to say thank you.
Aw.
And of course, thanks to everyone who listens to this little dog and pony show. The feedback we get makes it all worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
So please keep sending us suggestions, ideas, ways to make us better.
Yep.
And I don't know if you have any final words
I do.
or thoughts.
I was going to say thank you to you too.
Oh.
Yeah, because you know what? You're a great co-host. You're funny, you're smart, and you know a lot more about this stuff than I do. And so it makes my comedic humor just that much better.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was kind of like a compliment, but also like a praise for me.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah,
I got
cool.
That. I totally
Yeah,
understood that one. That was good.
Yes, thank you to everybody who's listened and subscribed. We really, really appreciate it. We obviously do this for fun, but it means the world to us. It really does, that you're listening and you're providing that feedback. If you feel like you want to email us, you can go ahead and email us at thedeepdivepodcast@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Also on our website, you'll find links to our social medias. We're pretty active on Instagram, so send us a message and we'll certainly reply. We do post when we release new shows, so look forward to that. But everyone who's given me any kind of feedback, any praise, any like critical responses, I just want to thank you so much, because it really propels us to keep going with this. And
absolutely.
For something that is as quote unquote obscure as a podcast, especially a podcast about movie reviews,
it's enough of those.
Right. It's really humbling to see the small sort of community we've built. So stay tuned for season 2. We're going to have a lot more cool features coming. We're really looking on to get some more integration with you guys. Mm-hmm. We're thinking about live streaming. It's going to be some really cool stuff down the pipeline. So thank you to Tom. Thank you to all our friends who've supported us. Thanks to my husband, who doesn't mind me spending time every week to do this. And he has to microwave his own dinners.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm just, I just crack the whip once in a while.
Poor Dwayne.
Yeah. Also, what? Did you just? Oh man.
What?
Yeah.
What did I say?
I think you called him Dwayne.
No, I didn't.
Dwayne Johnson.
No, I did not.
The
I was thinking of
Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah. That's because our last episode, you remember we did the hackers.
I was thinking of Wayne Johnson.
What?
No, I wasn't thinking
Never
of that
mind.
at all.
Anyways, stay tuned. Season 2 is going to be awesome. All October, we're going to do like weekly episodes.
Yes.
And we're going to do different genres of horror.
That's right.
Because, horror isn't just one thing.
It
There's
is
a
not.
spectrum, people.
Oh, boy.
So we're going to try
Yes.
and make some rules and stick by them for this. Yeah, I mean, we never really stick by them. Yeah. But anyways, I'm pretty good. This is going to be fun. And thank you for 1 year.
Thank you all. Thank you, Manda. And for all of us here at Studio D.
Aww.
I'm Tom Feeney. We'll see you next season.
See you later.
Special thanks to Spirits of the Symphonic and Echocraft for our amazing theme music. Links to both artists can be found on our website, thedeepdivepodcast.podbean.com. If you like us, you can subscribe on iTunes, Podbean, Overcast, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
The Deep Dive Podcast is a production of Automaton Media.
And since I am finished here, sir, may I point out that...
Shut up, Wesley.